Hello, and welcome to The Woven Word. This is a series of programmes in which we consider some of Ulster's poets coming to places and landscapes that inspired them in their day. In particular, we're looking at the writings of a group of writers known as the Weaver poets, or the rhyming weavers, who mainly flourished during the 18th and 19th centuries. They were in the main ordinary working class people, so their poetry shines a light for us on what it was like to live at that time in Ulster. They were writing about everyday subjects: the weather, their landlords, their communities, their friends, nature. And we love nowadays to look at their poetry, to study what was going on at that time, and in particular to enjoy the language that we used. This series has been shot in 360 degrees. And what that means is you can engage with the landscape. If you're at home at your computer, take your mouse and move it around to look left and look right and look up and look down, look behind you, look behind me, or for a fully immersive experience, put on a VR headset and it'll be just like you're right here with me. And where are we today in this beautiful autumn sunshine? We are standing on an earthwork, an Anglo-Norman motte, or some people call it moat, established in the 12th century on an older site. Beneath this hill there's a Neolithic passage tomb. Look all around us, we're at 550 feet of elevation. The beautiful red berries on the mountain ash or the rowan tree all around us here. The hedgerows thick with blackberries. This magnificent view. Look out behind me to your right. The north is that direction. Loch Ness, that great expanse of water behind me. The 6 Mile Water Valley flowing out into the northern corner of Loch Ness. The traffic along the M2 travelling south to north behind me. Out in this direction, we're following the line down towards the Belfast Hills. It's a really impressive place, also very historic. It was here in June of 1798 that the local United Irishmen mustered on their way to the Battle of Antrim. And just behind those trees stands the historic church of St John's. Buried in St John's is Sir Samuel Ferguson, the poet who we are going to talk about today. He's been described as one of the most important poets of the 19th century, coming from an Ulster-Scots background. So use your mouse, use your headset to look all around and enjoy the scene as I now introduce you to Sir Samuel Ferguson. He wrote poetry, he wrote prose in English and in Ulster-Scots. This was his landscape. This was where his family were originally from. And in particular, he loved Donegal Hill. 9 years after he died, his wife wrote a biography of her husband, and she describes where we are. Let me read you a little quotation from Lady Ferguson. "The region is dominated by the motte or the moat of Donegal. This fine earthwork is a conspicuous object in the landscape. It commands an extensive view over a rich and undulating country to Loch Ness, with its expansive waters and boundary of distant mountains. To the north rise the Connor Hills and the wedge-like mountain of Slemish. At the base of the rath stands the pretty church of Donegal, with the burying place of the Ferguson family." Isn't that a lovely introduction to where we are now? So Sir Samuel Ferguson's family were Presbyterians. They had come across here in the 17th century from Scotland. They settled at an area called Standing Stone, which is near Doagh here in County Antrim. They also established a large estate at Parkgate, just over the hill there, in the 6 Mile Water Valley. Although Samuel was born in Belfast, he spent a lot of his childhood holidays and times at the family farm near the 4 Mile Burn. He was intellectual. He was educated at Belfast Academy, then at INST, Royal Belfast Academical Institution, and also down at Trinity College in Dublin. In 1845 and 1846, he travelled quite extensively around Europe, and when he was there, he sketched the churches and cathedrals that were dedicated to Irish saints. You can see some of his artwork nowadays in the Linen Hall Library in Belfast. Coming back then, he served as a barrister. He was an antiquarian, he was an artist, he was a public servant. He was a great authority on ogham stones, the ancient Celtic carvings that you find on standing stones around our landscape. He wrote extensively about that. He was made a knight. He was given Sir Samuel Ferguson for his services as deputy keeper of public records in Ireland. But we want to think of him today as a poet. He brought out many volumes of poetry. You know, he wrote a great epic called Congal. It came out in 5 volumes in 1872, recounting what he considered to be the greatest battle that ever took place in Ireland in the year 637, the Battle of Moira, fought between Congal and the High King of Ireland. He brought out a volume of poetry called Lays of the Western Gael. That was in 1865, and many of his poems considered history and folklore and legends of County Antrim and of Ireland. He wrote a number of Ulster ballads as well, and probably the best known of those would be called the Ballad of Willie Gilliland. Now, on his mother's side, his family were Gillilands. They were Scottish Covenanters who fled from the persecutions of Scotland and settled in the valley of Glenwirry here. It's a wonderful poem. You know, it's written in English, but it really gives a great sense of his interest in Ulster-Scots and his own Ulster-Scots background. He wrote a wonderful novel called The Wet Wooing, a narrative of 98, so very appropriate that we're on this mound, Donegal Hill, associated with the 1798 rebellion. The Wet Wooing is written in the Kailyard style, which means that the text or the commentary is in English, but any dialogue is written in Ulster-Scots. He wrote a New Year's epistle to a friend of his, a Dr. Robert Gordon. I'll give you a couple of lines of that. A good new year I wish you, Gordon. 44 has been a hard one. So again, you hear lovely examples of Ulster-Scots. But the poem which I am going to read to you in a moment or two really brings all of this together. You know, it's rich in Ulster-Scots. This 6 Mile Water Valley was almost like a little rustic Arcadia of Ulster-Scots writers. Here in a nucleus you find people like James Campbell of Ballymuir, Thomas Beggs of Ballyclare, Samuel Turner of Ballyeaston, Samuel Walker of Mollusk, Samuel Thompson, the famous bard of Carngranny, just out near the airport here behind us. They were all living in this area and writing in their Ulster-Scots, many of them attending book clubs. I've got another lovely quotation for you from Sir Samuel Ferguson, just highlighting the Ulster-Scots nature of this area. He said, "The Scotch have a national literature, a Scottish school of science, and a purely Scottish school of poetry and romance. The Scottish race is the same in both countries. A drive of 10 miles will place a traveller among the representatives of the Scottish lowlanders of the time of the Covenant. Among them, he will find the national dialect of Scotland as broadly and almost as primitively spoken as that of England. Scotch language, Scotch looks, Scotch habits will strike him wherever he turns. There is a perfect similarity of habits and dispositions. In nothing does this appear so strongly as in the popular taste for poetry. Robert Burns's own parish was not more deeply imbued with the love of song than the central district of the county of Antrim. We could enumerate at least a dozen rustic poets whose works have been published from time to time in a district not more than 15 miles in length by 10 in breadth. This rustic valley, the 6 Mile Water Valley, just behind us. So the poem which I'm going to read for you now is called The Canny Courtship. You're going to enjoy this. Not much of a courtship in modern terms, but this character, young Red Riggs, he is wooing Nellie. And he comes along on his horse and he grabs Nellie and he kisses her full on, and she's horrified at this rough handling and tells him to go away. And he goes away, you know, in a bit of a rage. And he takes out his revenge on her delf, on her china. He takes his whip and he starts smashing up all of the crockery in the house. She doesn't seem to be put off by this at all, you know, to save her china. She accepts him and she says, yes, absolutely, young Red Riggs, I'll be your wife. As I say, it's not exactly a modern sensibility, but there you go. You're going to hear some beautiful Ulster-Scots vocabulary here. Young Red Riggs, we shoulder say braid with broad shoulders. He streaks out his breast, he stretches out his chest there. Meanwhile, the doctor, the young girl, Nellie, sits at the quilting frame. She's doing her tapestry, her patchwork quilt. Combing her hair with a silver comb. She's combing her hair. He prees her moo. He kisses her mouth. And she says, I'll no be harried like Bumby's bike. I'll not be handled and tossed about like a beehive, you know, just all upset. When she gets rid of him, he's off and awa in a snoring sturt. He's away in a rage and bluster. It's a great expression, that. Then he's challenged not to break a single skelf frae her chiny bowl, a single shard from her china bowls, from her crockery. Doon the dishes dang. Isn't that great? That's an onomatopoeic phrase there. Down the dishes crashed heavily. Dang is the noise of the china crashing all over the place. And Bonnie Nellie comes skirling but she comes shrieking into the kitchen, you know. She's in a terrible state. She asks him, has he tint his what? Has he lost his mind altogether? So as I'm reading this poem, you're going to see all of the words appearing on the screen, so you can read along as you hear the words written. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can expand the description and jump forward, and then you'll be able to enjoy all kinds of beautiful 360-degree views, a montage of images from this area, places with a great relevance to Sir Samuel Ferguson.
The Canny Courtship by Sir Samuel Ferguson. Young Redriggs walks where the sunbeams fa'. He sees his shadows slant up the wa'. We shouthers say braid, and we waist say sma'. Good faith, he's a proper man. He cocks his cap and he streaks out his breast, and he steps a step like a lord at least, and he cries like the devil to saddle his beast, and off to court he's gone. The Laird o' Largy is far frae hame, but his dochter sits at the quilting frame, combing her hair wi' a siller comb in mony a gowden ban. Bold Redriggs loups frae his blawin' horse, he prees her moo wi' a freesome force. Come take me Nelly, for better for worse, to be your ain guid mon. I'll no be harried like Bumby's bike, I'll no be handled unladylike. I'll winna hae ye, ye worryin' tyke. The road ye came, gae lang. He loupit on wi' an awesome snort. He banged the fire frae the flinty court. He's aff and awa in his snoring sturt, as hard as he can wang. It's doon she sat when she saw him gae, and a' that she could do or say was, oh, and alack, and a well a day, I've lost the best guid man. But if she was wae, it's he was wud. He gars them a' frae his road to Scud. But glowrin' Sam gied thud for thud, and then to the big hoose ran. The glowrer ran for the kitchen door. Bold Redriggs hard at his heels, be sure. He's walloped him roon and roon at the floor, as wha but Redriggs can. Then Sam, he loups to the dresser's shelf. I dar ye wallop my lady's delf. I dare ye break but a single skelf frae her chiny bowl, my man. But Redriggs bled, wi' his hand was up. He'd lay them neither for crock nor cup. He played a wa wi' his cuttin' whup, and doon the dishes dang. He clattered them doon, sir, raw by raw, the big yins foremost, and syne the sma'. He came to the chiny cups last o' a'. They glanced wi' gowd sae thrang. Then Bonnie Nellie came skirling but, her twa white arms roon his neck she put. Och, Redriggs dear, hae ye tint your what? Are ye quite and clean gan wrang? Oh, spare my teapot, oh, spare my jug, oh, spare my posset mug, and I'll let ye kiss and I'll let ye hug, dear Redriggs, a' day lang. Forgie me, my beauty brecht. Ye are my Nelly, my heart's delight. I'll kiss and I'll hug ye, day and nicht, if alang wi' me ye'll gang. Fetch out my pillion, fetch out my cloak. Ye'll heal my hurt if my bowl ye broke. These words, whilk she to her bridegroom spoke, are the ennin o' my sang. The Canny Courtship by Sir Samuel Ferguson. Young Redriggs walks where the sunbeams fa'. He sees his shadows slant up the wa'. We shouthers say braid, and we waist say sma'. Good faith, he's a proper man. He cocks his cap and he streaks out his breast, and he steps a step like a lord at least, and he cries like the devil to saddle his beast, and off to court he's gone. The laird o' Largy is far frae hame, but his dochter sits at the quilting frame, combing her hair wi' a siller comb in mony a gowden ban. Boiled Redrig's loups frae his blowing horse, he prees her moo wi' a freesome force. Come take me Nelly, for better for worse, to be your ain guid mon. I'll no be harried like Bumby's bike, I'll no be handled unladylike. I'll winna hae ye, ye worrying tyke, the road ye came, gae lang. He loupit on wi' an awesome snort, he banged the fire frae the flinty court. He's aff and awa in his snoring sturt, as hard as he can wang. It's doon she sat when she saw him gae, and a' that she could do or say was, "Och, and alack, and a well a day, I've lost the best guid mon." But if she was wae, it's he was wud. He gars them a' frae his road to Scud. But glowering Sam gied thud for thud, and then to the big hoose ran. The glowrer ran for the kitchen door, Boiled Redrig's hard at his heels, be sure. He's walloped him roon and roon at the floor, as wha but Redrig's can. Then Sam, he loups to the dresser's shelf. I dar ye wallop my lady's delf. I dare ye break but a single skelf frae her cheeny boiled maman. But Redrig's bled, wi' his hand was up. He'd lay them neither for crock nor cup. He played a while wi' his cutting whup, and doon the dishes dang. He clattered them doon, sir, raw by raw, the big yins foremost, and syne the sma'. He came to the cheeny cups last o' a'. They glanced wi' gowd sae thrang. Then bonny Nelly came skirling but, her twa white arms roon his neck she put. Och, Redrig's dear, hae ye tint your what? Are ye quite and clean gan wrang? Oh, spare my teapot, oh, spare my jug, oh, spare my posset mug, and I'll let ye kiss and I'll let ye hug, dear Redrigs, a' day lang. Forgie me, my beauty brecht, ye are my Nelly, my heart's delight. I'll kiss and I'll hug ye, day and nicht, if alang wi' me ye'll gang. Fetch out my pillion, fetch out my cloak, ye'll heal my hurt if my bowl you broke. These words, whilk she to her bridegroom spoke, are the ennin o' my sang.